All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 226. Or really, I should probably do it whichever of these ways. Of the Everything Exchange. And listen, all right, it was fight night week. All right, not just Thanksgiving week. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Saw a lot of discourse about mac and cheese this week. Okay. But of course, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, but apparently it was fight night on Saturday, even though we had nothing in combat sports this week. Because everybody was planting the flag and everybody was scrapping it up. So we'll be talking about that with the first segment of the day. But we also got a few things to talk about in music, college basketball, the week review. Duke lost again because we're playing Murder's Row. And we're probably going to lose again tomorrow. Or I guess Tuesday. Whenever we play Auburn, we're probably going to take that L. So it's been rough, and we're going to talk about that. But we also have stuff to talk about in the NFL because somebody tried to kill Trevor Lawrence. So, very violent week. All right, for the lack of combat sports this week, a very violent week, even though it was supposed to be the week of giving thanks. But yes, we're back from holiday, back to it straight here on the first day of December. So like I said, all right, it was a violent week in college football. So let's get to it, all right? Starting off on Thursday, or was it? No, this was on Friday. All right. By the way, I have, before we talk about Georgia and Georgia Tech, some good old fashioned hate. I need to talk about why is the Egg Bowl on Friday and not on Thanksgiving anymore. That just feels wrong. All right. Though that did produce a very tough pick by Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart. Just unfortunate that it came after they lost the week before. But nonetheless, Georgia Tech. I guess if you have to do it 8 times, then you're going to run out of, goal line plays. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It was an amazing game, by the way. It was an amazing game. 44-42, 8 overtimes, 2 off of the record. Insane environment, just insane performances. It was a crazy all-time game. But I'm not going to lie to you. It had some of the worst goal line play calling, which kudos to the defense, but some of the worst goal line play calling I have ever seen. It was like, who could overthink this situation more? And it ended up being Georgia Tech. It was literally who is going to overthink how hard it is to get 2 yards and get the 2-point conversion and win the game first. And it ended up being Georgia Tech. All right. We're at the goal line, essentially, and we ran the ball, I think it combined, we had 16 tries 3 times? Or actually, the first 2 were regular overtime, so take away 4. That's 12. We ran it 3 out of 12 times, a fourth of the time, at the goal line. Like, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? What are we doing? But nonetheless, Georgia survives the scare, completes the comeback. They get it done in 8 overtimes. With their season, to be completely honest with you, on the line in this game. Carson Beck, no slander for him this week. He had 297 and 5 touchdowns. Dominic Levet had 2 of those. Haynes King played a virtuoso first 4 quarters. He had 413 and 5 touchdowns, but the boy was so beat up by the time overtime came, he was just done. All right, he was just done. I'm sure Haynes was in a cool ice bath in Atlanta for like 6 hours the day after this because he was beat up. An absolute warrior, and again, a virtuoso performance. I mean, what he did on the ground, he showed up big time. Came ready to win this game, but Georgia Tech ran out of gas. And then when it came to overtime, I think Fry and I think the OC at GT just simply overthink it too much with the passing plays and just trying to make some trickeration. Just, you were getting 4 to 6 yards, running it down Georgia's throat, run it down their throat. Just get the yards, win the game, complete the upset, but they could not get it done. And Georgia survived. All right? They survived, won the state. Not everybody else would be so lucky. All right? They didn't get Georgia Tech would have had the opportunity to plant the flag, but because they lost, they didn't get to do that. However, the flag planting has to start somewhere, and where else would it start? All right? Where else would it start besides the game? And oh boy, I have nothing good to say Ohio State. I'm not going to say and lie to you, but you're probably here for this week, so let's get straight to it. Ohio State came into this game a 19-point favorite, playing the worst Michigan team in a decade. The worst. We have gone on and on and on and on this show about Michigan and Michigan's offense, or should I say lack thereof. They don't have one. It's either Mullins saves the day, and then after teams figured that out, it was just cooked. All right, they were Iowa. They were Iowa. And then they come into this game with Colston Loveset, one of the best tight ends in the country, out. Will Johnson, who's very vital to this game, you would think, right? Extremely vital. We're going against the best receiving corps in America. We might need the best cornerback possibly in America. Well, he's out for this game. So Michigan should have been dead in the water. And oh, by the way, we're in Ohio Stadium for this. It's a home game for Ohio State. This is a layup for Ryan Day. To be completely honest, of course, you always got to play it. It's why we don't play the game on paper. But this is a layup. A layup. A chance to get the monkey off of his back. A chance to silence the critics and the slander by doing exactly what he's supposed to do and what is the number one priority. Even maybe over winning championships at Ohio State, which is beat Michigan. Had it on a silver platter. The boy born on third base had a free lane to home, and he wasted it again. Because Michigan gets the win 13-10 in some classic Big Ten football. Zavada got the field goal with 45 seconds to go to put it to bed, and then Ohio State just did absolutely nothing with it. Will Howard, I think, may have thrown a pick to end the game or something crazy. But yeah, he had two. It was a disaster class. All right, now to be fair, for the majority of this game, he was concussed. I don't know what they gave him in that tent. I don't know if it was smelling salts to make him get going again, but the boy was concussed. And he played concussed. All right, he played, not just saying he played concussed, but he played like he was concussed. All right, with some of the decisions that Will Howard made, he was fraudulent. Pure, unadulterated fraudness. All right, just fraudulent. Okay, was not the guy. Lights got too bright, and of course he's concussed, so the light brightness is already an issue. But Will Howard, disaster class. Davis had two picks in this game. Caleb Downs, by the way, I do want to say. All right, by the way, Davis Warren, that is, had two picks. So it wasn't great on either side, by the way. He had 65 yards passing and two picks, okay? So it wasn't great quarterback play, as you can see, 13-10. Caleb Downs was a big reason for that. Of course, he had 11 tackles and an interception in this game and a great goal line stand early. Looked like the best defensive back in the country, which is what Caleb Downs is. And you would think teams should play to what favors them, right? That's the way to win a game like this. You got to play to where your stars are, right? So for Ohio State, even with Howard playing as bad as he was, just get it to your playmakers. Just get it to your playmakers. Michigan's missing their best defensive back. What they have left is a great front seven, led by Mason Graham, excuse me. So we probably shouldn't run it up the gut a bunch. We should probably just air it out. All right, gunslinger or Howard, if he does a couple picks, it's all right. Because JJ and Emeka and Carnell are going to beat them and they're going to tear them up. All right, and that's how we're winning this game. Apparently, Ryan Day was not feeling that. All right, that is not what he was feeling. And yeah, I don't know what happened there play calling wise. I can't really come up with anything. Why you wouldn't target, the superstars you have on the outside and instead decided to run it right into Michigan's strength. And you know what Michigan did? They played to their strengths because that's all they can do. Can't air it out. So let's give it to Khalil Mullins. And Mullins had a big game, all right? He had 116 yards and a touchdown. He was a force, all right? He was a force in this game for Michigan. And a big reason why they got this W. But, of course, I got to give it to the defense. And, of course, I got to give it to Ryan Day. Because it takes a special type of head coach to go 0-4 against Michigan and lose to this Michigan team with the amount of talent that OSU has on their team. Now, of course, the big story happened after Ohio State takes this big fat L. How would they react? Michigan, of course, grabs the flag. And, of course, this is a true rivalry game. So they plant it, all right? They plant the flag as they deserved after whooping that. All right, they planted in the middle of Ohio Stadium. Ohio State, for the first time in this game, shows a little bit of fight. And they start brawling in the middle of Ohio Stadium. All right, at the 50, it's just an all-out Royal Rumble. Jack Sawyer completely crashing out after he gets 1 sack in 4 years. JT shows the most amount of movement he had all game. He finished with 0 sacks in 4 games. Just complete crash out from Ohio State. They were attacking staffers. Michigan players got maced by Ohio police. It was beautiful. All right, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Like the Fox Sports, like Gus Johnson and them talking about, oh, what an atrocious act. Why we have this beautiful wide angle of this entire fight. It was gorgeous. All right, I got no dog in this fight. I loved it. I'm not going to lie. I loved it. All right, it was probably completely classless. from Ohio State and completely immature of Michigan to do, but it's rivalry football, and Ohio State's got to eat it. All right, they got to eat it. They got to deal with it. All right, and they crashed out, which I feel like is very stupid considering what Jack Sawyer was also saying, which is the fact that they're not eliminated from the college football playoff. They still have games to play. So getting suspended because my rival beat me and then planted a flag in my, 50, so I'm going to crash out and get suspended over that. I mean, it doesn't seem like the brightest idea, but I don't know. Ohio State hasn't really made great decisions starting from the play calling to, the players. So, yeah. Thrilling game. All right, absolutely thrilling version of the game. All right, especially the after effects, and that just seemed to snowball for the rest of the segment. All right, the rest of the week, the rest of Saturday just seemed to set the tone and set the trend of what would happen in these rivalry games and what would happen. So let's talk about it. All right, South Carolina and Clemson playing, of course, for the state of South Carolina, and Clemson looked like they had it. They looked like they had it. The front seven played well. Sammy Brown looking like a five-star freshman. TJ Parker getting active. Cade Klubnik getting it done on the ground. He had 2 touchdowns in this game. But they, just folded in the fourth quarter. Just folded. All right? Folded. Crumbled. As we always say in the sports world, you got to put teams away. And Clemson could not put South Carolina away. They let them stick around. So Sellers, who had a massive career day, 330 yards total. He had 166 and 2 on the ground, including a 20-yard touchdown to put this thing to bed, in which about 6 different Clemson players had a chance to tackle him before he scored, but none of them did. And Sellers wins the game. South Carolina upsets Clemson, if you want to call it an upset, honestly. 17-14. All right? They get the win and probably book themselves a potential shot at the college football playoff. And in turn, put Clemson at risk. All right, but listen. Clemson is going to get slaughtered. All right, which we're going to talk about if they make the playoff. They're going to get slaughtered. All right, because this team has been so up and down, but they're missing it. Whatever they used to have, as I've said before, they are missing it, and they just don't got it. But once again, Shane Beamer continues to be great at South Carolina. So, yeah, shout out to Scar, the other USC. They get it done, take out Clemson. Well, Clemson needed to make the ACC championship. Of course, SMU handled business because they are the only competent team apparently in the Atlantic Coast Conference. So they needed some help. All right, and what they get it? Miami. All you have to do is beat Syracuse. And we talked about their pass rush and their defense has shown up a couple times, but they didn't show up to New York. Okay, they did not show up to Syracuse, New York on Saturday, as Syracuse gets it done in another really good game. 42-38, Kyle McCord. All right, it was a horrible day. Ohio State fans, it was a horrible day. You crashed out, you lost to Michigan, and then you got to watch Kyle McCord go off. 380 and 3 touchdowns, as he said it. Very full circle moment for him. Pena had 6 receptions, 128 and a touchdown. Meeks had 7 receptions, 110 and 2 touchdowns. Allen had 2 TDs and over 100 scrimmage yards. It was an offensive expedition all over the U's defense for Syracuse, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch. They were cooking. It wasn't even Gadsden. Gadsden had a good game, but seeing McCord spill the pill all over the place, it was beautiful. All right, it was beautiful to watch. Cam Ward played a really good game, by the way, threw 49 and 2 touchdowns. Xavier Restrepo, usual X game, 9 receptions, 148 and a touchdown. Jacoby George, 6 receptions, 121. So you're probably wondering, if I had just cut out what I said about Syracuse and just read that from Miami, you'd be wondering, how did they lose? Well, the defense didn't show up. The secondary was nowhere to be found. The pass rush was not there either. And McCord basically did what he pleased. And Syracuse gets a huge win and get Clemson into the ACC championship, as Miami the U is back to choking in big moments. The battle for Texas, all right? The Texas State Championship, of course. Texas and Texas A&M hadn't played in, 11 years since Texas A&M decided to dip off to the SEC and then say, Texas, you can't come. And then a couple years later, as we now know, Texas gets to come. So, yeah, emotions running high. But this is the one game where we didn't have a fight, as Texas gets it done 17-7. Quinn Ewers had a rough one. All right, a rough one. Now, of course, he's dealing with that ankle injury and had that massive brace on. But nonetheless, Quinn Ewers did not at all look like a first-round quarterback, or even really a quarterback that should probably be getting drafted. Arch Manning did score in this game. So, yeah, the Arch chants got a little bit louder in this game. But make no mistake about it. All right, for the Texas offense, the man that had it going was Trey Wisner. All right, I've been hot. I feel very gratified seeing Wisner perform because I've been high on him for a minute. Really, since he came as a freshman, I was high on Wisner. I thought, okay, this could be a guy that becomes the future back for Texas, be that next great Texas running back. And it appears he's becoming that in front of our eyes. He carried the load. All right, he had over 200 yards from scrimmage, 186 of that rushing. He has been that guy the past couple of weeks with Quinn very shaky or injured. They've turned to Wisner, and he's got it done. I got to give credit to Sark for making it happen. And that defense, man, that Texas defense has been one of, if not the premier defense in the country, bar that Georgia game, which they will now get a chance of revenge by winning this game. They've brought it, all right, and they brought it here against Texas A&M. They made Marcel Reed feel and look very much so like a freshman quarterback. Vernon Brutton had 2 sacks in this game. Lee had that pick 6, and that was the only points that Texas A&M scored. That offense just could do nothing. Amari Daniels couldn't get going, and like I said, there was no magic from Reed. And yeah, Wisner ran wild. Texas defense, hook 'em horns. They win the state. The eyes of Texas belong in Austin. And Iowa State and Kansas State. All right, we ain't done. Big 12. Who's going? Colorado, man, so close to greatness, but just so far. Kansas State, what happened? Avery Johnson threw 3 touchdowns in this game. If you check the box score, you're like, man, it was good Avery this week, but no. He forgot who he was at the end of this game. I mean, completely forgot who he was. It's like he forgot he was a dual threat and has wheels. They were giving him 15 yards, and he was just blowing time trying to make something happen in the pocket just to throw an incompletion. It was horrible. It was horrible. All right, he completely folded. Completely folded. We've talked about a lot of teams folding. We've talked about players folding. Avery Johnson needs to be on that list. All right, Kansas State completely just botches the last, moments of this game. Iowa State gets it done 29-21. Congrats on the 10-win season as well for Iowa State. But yeah, they just, Matt Campbell. That's all we need to say. It's Matt Campbell. All right, he is that guy. He is that guy. He is that guy. He needs a lifetime contract. Him and Dillingham in Arizona State need a lifetime contract. Who is who they are going to play in the Big 12 championship. But yeah, shout out to Campbell, shout out to Iowa State. Just completely let Kansas State botch this. They just stayed composed, did what had to be done, made the right plays, and then Kansas State, when they had opportunity, couldn't take advantage. And that's how it goes. Now, before I finish up this segment, let's talk about the Heisman. Of course, it's really down to 2 players. Let's be real. Travis Hunter, they played on the same day, by the way, on Thursday, or Friday, should I say. Trav had 10 receptions, 116, 3 touchdowns, and 2 pass deflections, and a pick. Genty had 226 yards and a touchdown, and now moves into 5th all-time for single-season rushing yards. So, have your pick. All right, have your pick. I think Trav is the overwhelming favorite currently, but I think Genty definitely has a case because I'm going to be honest, 2,000 yards plus and nearly 30 touchdowns is quite literally what should be a Heisman Trophy winning running back. Like, this is what Genty has done. You can say what you want about the comp, but is Colorado's really that much better? You know what I mean? So, I feel like y'all are kind of reaching on that, just trying to come up with something to discredit Genty. All right? He did it against Oregon, the number 1 team in the country. He did the same thing. So, it's like, relax. All right? Relax how you speaking about my boy. But, yeah, I feel like they're both worthy, but we will see. All right? Obviously, Trav is doing something that, well, I guess we can both say doing something we haven't really seen before. But, Trav, of course, going 2 ways and being elite in both it's really special. We may never see that for a while, or maybe he starts a trend. But, GT at the same time, being as dominant as he is, one of the best running back seasons of all time, it's going to be hard to not give it to him. So, yeah, very, very tough. But, yeah, that's the Heisman update. You can let me know who you got. And I promised fights. So, yeah, North Carolina and State. State won in Carolina. So, in Mac Brown's last moments, he got to watch his team scrap it up. FSU, Florida, scrapped it up. Arizona ASU, they pitchforked it, scrapped it up. Iron Bowl during the game, scrapped it up. So yes, plenty of fights. All right, very entertaining way on Twitter. All right, for college football. And yeah, plenty of fights. Very violent week. Very, very violent week. And yeah, a lot of frauds got exposed and got, taken to the gallows. Now for college basketball. Uconn, what happened? Oh boy. We know what happened. Y'all lost Stephen Castle. More importantly, maybe you lost Donovan Klingett. You lost a lot of talent, Tristan. You lost a lot of talent. Alex Caravan is now expected to be the guy. A lot of people were expecting him to make the jump, and he may make that jump. But Uconn is definitely not the same dominant Uconn. They lost every single game they played in Maui this week. From second to unranked, just like that. All right, lost to Memphis, Colorado, and Dayton. That's a hell of a three. Hell of a three. All right, hell of a three. Finished dead last in Maui. I don't think anybody was expecting that. So yeah, the big story in college basketball this week: Uconn and Dan Hurley crashing out. All right, this was the week of the crash out. Everybody crashing out in college football. Dan Hurley crashing out in the court, and Uconn just crashing out of Hawaii. Kansas beat Duke to turn attention. All right. And yeah, youth. That's really all I can say. All right, Kansas gets the win here, 75-72. Coop didn't play a great game. Con went 0-8. He's not a sharpshooter, I guess now. I guess the preseason stuff in that one game was an anomaly. And yeah, we are very young. That's the very, very young and inexperienced. We play defense, but we just have not figured it out offensively at all. At all. And we play Auburn, who has arguably the player of the year, potentially, in Broom, and I just think we're going to get slaughtered. I think Auburn is about to BTA us. I don't think this one's going to be close. So, yeah. Duke is playing Murder's Row, which may be good for their long-term development, but like I said, we're going to find out whether Shire was worthy of the throne that he acquired from Coach K. We're going to find out. All right, if he can make this Duke team a championship contender through all of the fire they're going through, and they can come out on the other side a better team and a contending team, then he was worthy. If they regress and they fall apart after this and crumble in ACC play, then we will have our answer, and it may be very, very, very punishable for Duke as a program. Michigan State just kind of outmuscled UNC. Feel like Carolina has very obvious flaws, which is that front court stinks. All right, it absolutely stinks. There's no depth, and they suck. All right. Of course, they got the backcourt of dreams. Well, I can't really say dreams because they're very inconsistent. Because Elio didn't play great, neither did RJ. Seth Trimble didn't show up though. But yeah, Carolina, real rough. They're gonna have an up and down season, I think. Again, especially against teams with solid bigs, I feel like they could struggle if one of the big three doesn't go off. So yeah, going to be interesting for Duke and Carolina to see how their seasons go. But they do both take L's in pretty big games this week. Dylan Harper was looking like the number one overall pick until yesterday, in which he laid an egg, and they lost. So yeah, up and down for Rutgers. It's going to be the Dylan A show. They're going to put up numbers, but it's going to be interesting to see. Again, Coop hasn't played terrific, so I don't know if it's necessarily a foregone conclusion. So yeah, the number one overall pick race I think is going to heat up. And yeah, I think Harper's in that second spot with his performances, even though he had a bad game yesterday. With his first two, those back-to-back 37 pieces, I think have people singing his praises and potentially pushing him for that number one overall pick. So we will see. Entertainment. Wicked. Just going off. All right, great week for Wicked. Moana 2 has overcome the lack of marketing, and they had a very solid week. Gladiator doing Gladiator stuff. So yeah, movies are moving. TV shows, I just started JJK season 2. What else did I finish? Finished Cobra Kai, and I'm currently watching. Oh yeah, Dune Prophecy. I started watching. I'm watching the new episodes. I think another one comes out today. Filming this on Sunday for those that do not know. But yeah, we will see there. But yeah, I want to talk about music. All right, music. Ocean from the Blue, one of my favorite artists. All right, Korean R&B, dropped an album, as expected, called Painting. Very, very good. Of course, the singles in the lead up to this were fantastic. And I have no standouts because they were all standouts, all right? The man did not miss. He's great. You're welcome, all right? You're welcome, okay? I just want y'all to know it was me that put y'all into Ocean from the Blue, all right? It was me. It was Ocho. He put you on, all right? So you're welcome. Painting, go listen. Not going to give it a rating, though, because I want to, soak it in a little bit more. Dean also dropped, staying in that KR&B scene. Big week for them over there. 333 featuring FKJ. Dean is great. Listen to a few weeks ago. I actually listened to that album that blew him up. Called All Those Years Ago. So yeah, good to see him making his return. More frequent drops. Of course, he had BB the week before this. Then he has 333. Maybe we put him up to a project. I'd be here for it because he is again dope. He's dope. He's dope. All right, if you ain't on a Dean, you're welcome. I just put you on Dean too. Heaterz. All right, Heaterz by AJ Tracey and Pozer was cool. It was nothing crazy. It was cool. It'll make the playlist, but not my favorite of the Tracey singles we've seen this past year. But some solid stuff, but nothing crazy. All right, nothing crazy in my opinion. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was entertainment, which of course brings us To the NFL. All right, to the NFL. And it hasn't been as violent of a week as it was in college football. There was no flag planting. There was no crashing out. Except for the Texans and Jaguars. But we'll get to that. All right, starting, of course, on Thanksgiving with the annual 3-game slate. The Dallas Cowboys won a game. I can't believe it. All right, we've won multiple games in a row for the first time in, it feels like years. I'm going to be honest with you, it feels like years. Now, of course, we played the New York Giants, so this was expected, but you know what? I'm going to take it. And we did let the Giants back in this game, but it was too little too late. All right, Rico Dowd played his best game of his career, 112 and a touchdown. Cooper Rush, again, was very solid. All right, did have the fumble, so almost turnoverless. Did have that one fumble, though. But, yeah, he took care of the ball for the most part. You know, I can't really complain. We got Turpin into this game plan a lot more. I think we're going to have to lean on his speed and more of his abilities outside of the return game, even though he's such an asset there. Kind of utilizing that and, you know, finding a situation to get him in space offensively could be very good, especially with us, you know, not being at full power without Dak. I think that could be good. So, yeah, we did that a lot more. He got some targets this week. I like that. Eric Kendricks in this defense were great. All right, we sacked Tommy DeVito, or actually it wasn't Tommy DeVito because he was hurt. Drew Lock 6 times. Kendricks had 10 tackles on one of those. Michael Parsons got that big turkey leg because he had 1.5 sacks in this game. And yeah, a few others with a sack. Overshawn had the pick 6. And yeah, defense showed up big time. Needed it. Of course, now we're playing Drew Lock. All right, the Giants are probably the worst team in the league potentially. So again, take it in stride. But it was still very, very good. Very happy Thanksgiving for me because, you know, I was a little worried. All right, to say the least, I was a little worried. The Lions and the Bears. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. The Lions nearly gave this game back. And the Bears continue to be one of the clutchest teams, by the way, in the league. I mean, Caleb Williams just flips a switch in the fourth quarter, and they stormed all the way back and then had the worst conclusion to this game. I mean, even worse than Kansas State and Avery Johnson I talked about earlier. Like, that made what the Bears did at the end of this game, made that look competent. Competent. All right? First off, Caleb, as good as he was, cannot take that sack. He has to just throw it away. I was screaming. And I had no dog in this fight, obviously. But I was screaming at my television with my dad for him to throw the ball away. Just throw it away. You don't have to take a sack. Stop. He's getting better, but he has to get out of the habit of hero. You don't always got to be hero. I know that you're Superman, but you don't always have to save the day on every single play. Sometimes, know when to fold them. Throw it away. All right, just throw it away. There might not be a play to be made, and especially in a situation like that, don't waste the time. Just throw it away. All right, so after that happens, they get back to the line, and instead of calling the timeout, right, whether it was Caleb didn't call a timeout or Eberflus, as we found out, didn't call a timeout, they don't call a timeout and waste 30 seconds to run an absolute nothing play. Nothing. I can't even call it a Hail Mary because it was like half of speed from the receivers, and Caleb just threw it in the vicinity of one of them. It was like a throwaway. All right? And completely waste all of their time. All they needed, by the way, was a field goal to tie the game. And they were by the 50. And wasted 35 seconds on one play that was nothing. Nothing. Didn't call the timeout. Now, Caleb said he didn't call the timeout because Eberflus gave him a call, so he's going to play the call. But, respectfully, Caleb, even though I know you're a rookie quarterback, call a timeout. Call the damn timeout. All right? And Eberflus got fired for this, as he deserves. Because there is no reason for you to not take the timeout in that play. Take it. Take the timeout. Or tell them to hurry up. Or have some type of urgency instead of sitting back and watching chaos unfold while your team has no idea what to do, like you're in the stands. So now you can be in the stands and you can watch the game because that's what you wanted to do. So yeah, an absolute disaster class from Eberflus. I have no idea what he was doing. He doesn't either. So he gets fired, all right, the day after by the Bears, and it's well-deserved. All right, it's well-deserved. Caleb, though, with that said, as I did say, has been playing better. He had 256 and 2 touchdowns in this game. But it feels like a waste because this game could have went to overtime. You could have won this game. You could have pulled off the upset. It just feels like a missed opportunity and what's been a season of missed opportunities for the Bears, even though I think we overshadowed some of their very, very now obvious flaws on that offense and on that defense. DJ Moore, by the way, had 8 receptions, 97 yards, and a touchdown. A lot of y'all been saying DJ needs targets. There you go. Keenan Allen also had 2 touchdowns, even though we did see his bald spot. But I love my boy, my 336 legend, Northern Guilford legend. Goff, very calm game for him. All right, 221, 2 touchdowns, nothing crazy. Just did what he do, did what he do. DJ Reader, though, represented for the 6 as well with 2 sacks. So, yeah, great day for Greensboro, bad day for Matt Eberflus, and a great day for the Chicago Bears as a result. The Green Bay Packers took on the Dolphins, and this game went exactly as you would expect. All right, it was way too cold for Miami, okay? And again, Tua cannot win in cold weather, so that just kind of summarizes the entire thing. Packers get the win here, 30-17. Jordan Love played very solid. Josh Jacobs was probably even better. All right, I'm not going to lie to you. Probably the most complete Josh Jacobs game I've seen. Well, I mean, he's been playing a lot better as of late, so I will give Josh that credit, but this felt very much so like that big season he had for the Raiders. This game felt very in line with that. So, yeah, Jacobs, special game for him. Jaden Reed also got off. But, yeah, Packers, again, they're always going to beat the Miami Dolphins in cold weather. There is no surprise there. Friday, because apparently we needed a game on Friday. The Chiefs can conjure some magic voodoo at the end of this game to have Aiden O'Connell fumble the snap and get a penalty on the Raiders, so they lose the ball. They have mastered the art of winning absolutely disgustingly ugly. All right, the Chiefs cannot win a game in a normal, dominant fashion. They're 11-1, but they may or may not be the worst 11-1 team of all time. They have looked susceptible in nearly every single game. Even when they played the fucking Panthers, they look like, you know what, they could lose this game. But somehow, some way, Kansas City, who's done nothing but win, obviously in this Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid era, find a way, which credit where credit's due, but my God, all right, my God, can y'all just win dominantly? All right, look like an 11-1 team for just 1 week. 1 week, that's all I ask, Chiefs, 1 week. Anthony Richardson said, y'all gonna stop talking crazy about me and stop saying we losing to the Patriots, all right? Because he gets the 2-point conversion that puts it to bed after getting the 3-yard. And by the way, that was development. That last drive from AR was development, okay? Because he took command of that situation, and even when they were calling timeouts, he looked a little frustrated because he had confidence that I'm getting this ball in here. It's 3 yards. This is not Georgia Tech. I'm getting this in the box. So credit where credit's due to AR. All right, he played an up and down game if you're looking at the box score. He did throw 2 picks, but when it mattered, I saw it. I saw the vision with AR. All right, delivered a perfect strike to Alec Pierce to tie it or to put them down 1, and then of course could have taken the extra point, but they said, you know what, we going for glory. All right, Steichen said we are going for glory. I'm gonna give it to my very mobile 6'5" tank of a quarterback built like Cam Newton, and AR put it in. I wonder why Georgia Tech didn't do that. Anyways, AR gets it done, all right, when it matters, and that is what matters. As the Pats come close, but you know what, y'all are taking anyway, so y'all take this loss. 25-24, Colts get it done. It's incredible. It is honestly incredible. The Bengals have regressed so much this season. It is, I can't believe it. I honestly cannot believe it, how much this team has regressed. It's insane. Probably one of the all-time regressions I've seen year to year to year. They're just bad. They're just bad. I mean, they have an incredible offense. Joe Burrow should be an MVP candidate. Objectively speaking, has played like one of the best players in the league, but it doesn't matter because he has no defense and apparently no coaching. All right? He's looked like the king in the North, but he won't be the king in the North because the Bengals can't stop anybody. Russell Wilson looked like old Russell Wilson. 414 yards and 3 touchdowns for Russ. George Pickens continues to be an extremely talented head case. He had 374 and a touchdown and probably could have had more if it, he didn't have so many penalties for, taunting. But you know what? It was a rivalry game, NFC North, so I'll give him a little bit of a pass. But yeah, Burrow goes off. He finds Chase and Higgins and Iosivas, who's become that third guy, filled in for Tyler Boyd very easily. I completely meshed into that offense. But still, the Bengals, just for whatever reason, cannot play defense, cannot stop anybody, and the Steelers were able to get fortunate, and I cannot believe it, but the Steelers dropped 44 on somebody's heads. But of course, it would be the Cincinnati Bengals here in 2024. The Chargers get it done against the Falcons. This was very touch and go, but then Kirk Cousins was terrible. All right, he was terrible. No Kirk Chains this week. This was Kirk Cousins. 4 interceptions. He looked washed beyond belief. I mean, he plays a halfway decent game, and they win. And they win. But as I always say with the NFC South, nobody wants to win this division. So things are starting to go too correctly. It's got to come back. And Kirk Cousins saw that things were going too correctly. The Falcons had a chance to make a jump here. So, yeah, it's time to throw 4 picks. I mean, that's the only explanation. All right, Jay Herbo didn't even play a great game, but Kirko was not Kirko Chains. Kirk Cousins, that nickname is removed until he remembers how to play quarterback because he's been god awful the past couple weeks. Chargers get the win 17-13. Seahawks get it done late 26-21 because there is nothing but pain for the New York Jets. Nothing good can happen to this team. It is just pain and pain and pain and pain and pain and pain. They were up. For the majority of this game, they were up. Up until under 6 minutes into this game, they were up. But as I've said many times, you got to put teams away. And of course, the Jets could not put the Seahawks away. They let them linger. Charbonnet puts a stiff arm into somebody's chest and gets an 8-yard touchdown. The Seahawks take the lead. And the Jets can do nothing after that. Just can do nothing after that. AR didn't even play a really bad game. He just, he's what he is now. He is what he is, and the Jets are what they are. And what they're always going to be, it appears. So, yeah, Seahawks end up getting it done. If you have faith in the Jets at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Texans get it done versus the Jaguars, but I'm going to be completely honest, this game definitely has a black mark because Aziz. I will say your full name strictly, not because you deserve it, but strictly for the fact that you are a dummy. You are a terrible, disgusting human being. But Aziz Al-Hafari, or I believe that's his name, the safety for the Texans, gets ejected from this game. And that is probably the best thing that could have happened to him in that situation. He gets ejected for one of the dirtiest hits you will probably ever see on a sliding Trevor Lawrence, which is just horrible because his pregnant wife was also probably there to make matters worse. He completely gets knocked out, fencing response, whole nines. Again, me personally, Aziz is getting stumped out and we're leaving with something. I'm going to be honest. It's probably not the moral thing to do, but we're leaving with something. You going to hit my quarterback like that, very obviously dirty, then put your hands up. Evan Ingram went after him, and of course he got, bunched up on, but you want to fight, I'm breaking your leg, I'm breaking your ankle. We leaving with something. Disrespectfully, we leave him here with something. I don't care if I'm taking a suspension, an ejection. You hit my quarterback like that on some dirty like that, then I'm going to give you what you deserve. He got off light. He should be suspended for a very long time. A very, very long time. Because it was one of the most excessively dirty hits I can remember a player delivering to another player. And I watched a Kansas Jayhawk literally try to separate Shadir Sanders' ACL from its knee last week. I mean, just obscenely dirty. So it puts a black mark in the Texans getting the win in this game because I can't really feel like they deserved it. After seeing it, I can't really feel like they deserved it because it was just scummy. All right, it was just real scummy. I don't got anything good to say. CJ didn't, throw an interception, so I guess that's the one good thing I can say. However, the Texans still look very fraudulent because you barely beat the Jags without Trevor Lawrence. Disgusting. All right, just disgusting. Vikings get the win. Aaron Jones with the game winner. All right, so shout out to AJ. ESPN wants to run an ad right now while I go through this. We're not going to have that. Vikings get the win, though, 23-22. AJ with the go-ahead with 1:13 to go. Sam Darnold, 235, 2 touchdowns. Kyler threw that pick to end the game. Shout out to the Vikings. They got it going. And to end off, the Commanders get it done versus the Titans, 42-19. There's nothing else to say about that game. This was a get-back game. All right, simply put, this was a get-back game for the Commanders, and who else to do it against the Titans? Right? Who better? So, yeah. Washington needed this, exercised a couple demons, but, yeah, we expected that. All right, now welcome to the 4 o'clock window, and listen. Rams, Saints, there's no hope. All right, I'm not here to give Saints fans any hope, any promise, any, there could be redemption for your team this year. None of it. I'm sorry. I actually kind of was thinking maybe y'all could beat the Rams, but no. Nope, not enough. They have completely fallen off the wagon, like I said, after that great start. It just feels like they dig themselves into a bigger hole every single week. So, Stafford had 2 touchdowns. Puka came in clutch, especially towards the end. Got that touchdown that ended up being the go-ahead with about 9 minutes to go. And that just kind of put this game to the bed, Stafford, Kyren Williams, and then, The Saints just, they don't got it. They don't got it. There's no other way to put it. They don't got it. Rams get it done. Oh boy, Eagles. Eagles, Ravens. I've come to the conclusion Lamar Jackson is Dan Marino. Simply put, he is Dan Marino. He is this generation's Marino. He's going to have incredible records, probably, rushing for a quarterback. He'll have the MVPs. He'll have the stats. He'll have that to conclude that, you know what, this was one of the best players. This was one of the best quarterbacks of his generation. But unfortunately, he's just never going to win the big one. He's just never going to win the big one. Now, the Eagles are a great team. One of the best teams, obviously, a Super Bowl contender. But at home, this is a game that if the Ravens want to be taken seriously, they should win. This is a game they could have won if they were a better team. If they were a better team, and they just simply are not. Additionally, unfortunately, it's time to take Justin Tucker out like Old Yeller and put him down. Okay? It's over. 3 missed field goals for the legendary kicker, one of the greatest kickers of all time. However, he missed an extra point. He missed 2 field goals. It's done. All right? I hate it. It's unfortunate, but it's over. All right? It's over for Justin Tucker. So, Ravens need to come up with a plan of succession for their kicker position. But, yeah, I'm afraid Lamar is simply just Marino. Saquon continues his MVP bid, 107 yards and a touchdown on the ground today. He was a model of consistency and, again, the driving force of that Eagles offense, even though the Ravens, for the most part, held them in check. But like I said, just too many missed opportunities for the Ravens. It's what they are, and it just, they can never get over the hump. Just can't get over the hump. And the game that just went final, the Bucs win in overtime after the Panthers had it in their hands. But I do want to say, I know, even though it's kind of like sickening, the Panthers are getting better. The Panthers are really getting... Benching Bryce Young could be a decision that looms very large in the future of this team, in the future of this franchise. It appears it was the right decision. Like, benching him to help him get his confidence back, take the mental strain of, the pressure off, has seemingly gotten Bryce back to being Bryce Young. And it's been working. And this game was not on him. He put the Panthers in a position not only to get this thing to overtime, but to win this, right? But Chuba Hubbard, unfortunately, didn't have a great day. And then, of course, just capped it off with a very, very bad fumble. Bucks get it back. Rashard White rips off a long run, puts him in field goal position, and then, Justin Tucker is not playing for the Bucks. Chase McLaughlin is. And even though he missed the one at the end of the game, he was not going to miss this one, and he gets it done. The Bucks win 26-23. Adam Thielen played out. This looked like prime Adam Thielen. 8 receptions, 99 yards, and a touchdown. Mike Evans also had a big day. So the vets, all right, a big day for the veteran receivers. Mike Evans had 8, 118, and a touchdown. Bucky Irvin had a big 152, especially with Baker having an off day. 2 picks in this game for him. So, yeah, they had a chance. They had a chance, man. The Panthers had a chance. They're getting better, though. They're getting better. It's kind of crazy to say these close losses, they're getting better, but they are, all right? So, the Panthers, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the roundup, all right? Qatar. All right, we were in Qatar for the Qatar Grand Prix, and Max had a masterclass. However, the race director, which there's a new one, by the way, and boy, oh boy, did he have a terrible day today. A disaster class for him. All right, this was a mess. This Grand Prix was a mess. Whether it was leaving debris that ends up multiplying into more debris, which ends up costing Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz and other racers their race, or just all of the penalties and the timing on the penalties, it was a mess. The inconsistencies, it was a mess of a Grand Prix. But Max does win. Cherry on top, of course, of his 4th World Driver Championship, which he won last week. Charles, Oscar, the Leclercs fill out the rest of the podium. But yeah, I don't think anybody's really, besides Max, I guess. But Max was messed up. He was upset at George for George getting a penalty on Max. So yeah, just a mess. All right, Qatar's a mess. I think F1's going to want to put this Grand Prix, or at least this edition of it, in its back burner. It really wasn't that exciting of a race. It was just a mess. All right, it was a mess. UFC 310 is this weekend, all right? So Alexandre Pantoja will be taking on a debuting Kai Ascura in his debut here in the UFC. I'm very excited for this. I think it could be a banger. Flyweight at the top usually has some bangers. So yeah, I have high expectations. Looking forward to that one. Co-main event is Shakvat versus Ian Gary. So yeah, Shakvat, basically the title eliminated for him. Gary, this is the ultimate test. All right, this is the ultimate test. Is he real or not? We're gonna find out. Shakvat will put him to the test, and we'll see if Shakvat can again continue his finish streak and keep himself undefeated. Somebody's O has to go, as they say. And Cyril Gahn versus Volkov also on this, so that should be interesting. Can Cyril continue building momentum and try to get himself back up for another heavyweight title shot? Which I don't know who that'll be against because nobody knows who the real heavyweight champion is. But we will see. But UFC 310 should be a good one. I did exclude the NBA and the NHL this week. Nothing too crazy happened. Michkov is mopping up for the Flyers. In the NBA, LeBron is looking like Father Time is catching up, maybe. We'll see. Same thing with Curry's and the Warriors. They look very rushed. So, past there, not looking great. But yeah, nothing too crazy in the NBA this week. So, no major segments. But for episode 226, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next week for episode 227. Without further ado, Ocho signing off.